Welcome back to Learn Astrology with Mary. My name is Mary English. You can find me at www.maryenglish.com, maryenglish.co.uk, and UK Astrologer. Hello, how are you? Now this week I thought I'd talk about and tell you about and discuss I'm going to describe it, brain's gone. It's called the Astro Moon Diary, and my husband buys me a copy of it for Christmas every year, and I can't remember when he first started buying it for me, but I've probably had it for about 5 or 6 years, but I could be wrong. I seem to have had it for a long time, then I think maybe it's not quite so long. No idea, can't remember. Anyway, I'm going to put a link to the website of the people that produce it, and the reasons I like it are multiple. And when I was part of the Save Bath Library campaign, and we were campaigning to keep our local library open, one of the other ladies that was also in the committee of people that had just sort of randomly got together to save the blipping ping, she said she used it as well. And I went, oh, I said, isn't it fabulous? And the reason it's nice for someone who isn't even particularly into astrology is it gives you both sides of the story. So it gives you the astronomical information, you know, this planet, that star, is doing this and the other. And it also gives the astrology, because they have the people that make the diary have a bunch of other people that help them with it. So what I thought I'd cover today is the thing itself, to tell you more about that, but also about the two people that founded it. Now, once again, I don't have the exact dates of birth because Companies House isn't giving me the day, but hey, never mind. So I've estimated, as I like doing, what their date of birth might actually be, so that we can see how their company that they formed and their product that they produced has evolved over the years, and under what sort of astrological push was it that matched them starting this up. So the calendar itself it's called a moon diary, so obviously it's got a lot of moon stuff in there, but don't worry, it also covers everything else. So it's, I think A5 is the size. Let me just find my ruler, hold on. So the dimensions of it, if you're into that type of thing, is 13 centimetres by 15, 16, 17, about sort of 19 centimetres. So it's sort of bigger than A5, and it's spiral bound. That's the only thing that drives me crazy about it, is that it has got a metal binding to it, which is much more difficult to, at the end of the year, disentangle so that I can recycle the pages. But the cover itself is beautiful. The internals are lovely. It gives you all the solstices, all the signs of the zodiac, so you can have everything that you want to know about each sign of the zodiac. The lady that does the astrology part of it is called Tachenka Jane Sunderland. So she's the lady that does the majority of the astrology blurb in there. Every year they have different contributors. So this particular one that I'm talking about, which is the 2024 one, there was also an astrologer called Jeanne Van Dunn. She did some of the astrology in there, but it covers so you've got the daily moon phase and sign, full, new and quarter moon dates and times, sun sign forecasts, planetary forecast for each month, solstice and equinox charts, the night sky, sun and moon rise set times, moon's path, the year ahead, eclipses, pagan fire festivals and the changing seasons, month at a glance, lunar tables, daily planetary ingresses, aspects and void, of course. There's a retrograde table, which is terribly useful, a full ephemeris and GMT and BST. Now, obviously, if you're in another country, the planetary blurb, the moon being in certain signs and certain dates, and that is probably not going to correspond to a different location. I think they're all set. I think they do GMT rather than hold on, let me just go to the astrological pages. So they're set. Yes, on the ephemerates, the planet's positions are at noon GMT. So you'd have to adapt it a bit if you were in another country. But if you're in the UK, I urge you, and I'm not a commissioner, which I was, I urge you to go over to the website, and the website address is, I'm going to do more about the thing itself, is Astrocal, so it's astrocal.co.uk, and on there you'll see the calendar. You'll also see some jolly nice cards and also a moon calendar, and I'll just read to you the blurb that they've got in there about how they started it. So it says, our story. Astrocal began in 2004 in a tiny flat in Hove, that's in the UK. The first moon calendar was conceived and designed during the time Tina was supposed to be writing her final dissertation for an MA in digital media, a fine distraction to put her off wanting to start to write. We had both become bored of having the same moon calendar on our wall year after year, and were looking for something different. We couldn't find what we were looking for, and so the design process began. We wanted to move away from the linear design to show the circularity of the solar and lunar cycles, as well as to make it more astrological. After completing the design of our new moon calendar, we uploaded it to a web page, and to our delight, we had a fantastic feedback and lots of sales. Since then, each year we've designed new products, slowly but surely creating a whole range. As the collection has grown, so has the business side. We ended up living with boxes of stock and packaging in every room until we completely outgrew our flat. We've been overwhelmed with how popular our diaries and calendars have become, and have had interest and praise for their design from all over the world, from Brazil to Japan to Australia. It's an extremely satisfying experience to have such a good response for products that we've designed ourselves. We feel very proud of all the products we produce, particularly our Astro Moon Diary, which is what I was just talking about, as it brings together art, photography and creative writing from many of our talented friends. How blessed we are to have such inspiring people around us. We also really appreciate the support and endorsement that Jonathan Kaner gave us from the outset, as this helped immensely. We were very sad at his passing. He will forever be part of Astrocal's history. Even though we don't class ourselves as astrologers, astrology is a way of life for us and has been for many years. We've run the astrology area at Glastonbury Festival every year for nearly 25 years now, and we have huge respect and appreciation for the deep insight astrology has given us along our journey through life. We're very fortunate to have formed a very strong working relationship with Blackmore Printers in Dorset. Blackmore have been extremely professional and supportive in our expansion. We feel very strongly that it's important to keep our printing local. We now often sell out before the end of the year, so we're increasing our print runs to try to avoid disappointing customers. We've recently moved the printing of our US products over to the USA with a company called AccuTrack, who also send out our orders for us to various places, including Amazon. We now live in Dorset by the sea with our Cairn Terrier, who takes us out walking every day up the hills and along the beaches. We love to experience the turning of the seasons with the change in light, temperature and colour. Nature is our inspiration, and we hope to inspire you with our creativity. We'd like to thank all our customers for all their lovely feedback. Appreciation makes it all worthwhile. May the sun, the moon and the planets guide you on your way. Ceri and Tina, I pronounced her name wrong, big bun. Tina and Ceri, spelled Ceri. So I thought that was a lovely little about us section of their web page, and I absolutely use this. So I have this in the kitchen. I might have mentioned it once before, but we're doing it in a bit more depth today because we're going to do the charts of the people that formed it, and it lets you know. So where we are today, so let's just go to today. We're Sunday the 27th of October, and there's it says on there that the sun rises at 6:46, it sets at 16:42, the moon will rise at 1:03 and it'll set at 15:17. The moon, because it gives a little symbol of the moon, where's the moon? The moon's a little slither at the minute. Moon's in Virgo, and then there's little symbols, so if you're into astrology you can understand these ones. So the moon's going to be sextile to the sun at 00:54 and so on. Mercury's going to be in conjunct to Jupiter. The moon's going to be square to Mercury at 15:39, and the moon, because it's in Virgo, is going to be opposition to Saturn at 17:56. And there's a little note at the bottom there, BST ends at 2 a.m. Put clocks back 1 hour. Adjustments have been made from now on. So it does do the English things, and also, as I've just quoted off the website, so you can get it in the USA, so obviously they made adjustments for that. But as I say, the reason I like it is because the pictures are what makes it for me. Like if I turn the page now to the next page, sometimes people write poetry and they have a little picture. There's one that says Sam Hain, and there's a little poem there, and there's the most beautiful picture with all sort of pinks and purples of a little owl in a tree with little leaves falling, and there's a couple of little squiggles in there, and there's the sort of the moon I don't know if it's the moon or the sun in the distance, but it's absolutely beautiful colours. Now, I am married to an artist. I'm not an artist myself, but I definitely appreciate beauty because I have sun in the 7th house, so I do like things that are beautiful. And I'm not at all artistic. I have 2 siblings that are artistic. I'm not. I crochet, but I don't do art, and I like colour, and it's just so nice, because if you're into astrology, which obviously I am, that you've got these sort of every day you've got something different to read and to look at, and sometimes I glance at it, sometimes I look at it in more depth. But I know that when I'm using it, I happen to be in the kitchen, which is where I keep it, and I don't know, I'm sort of thinking, oh gosh, where's the moon today? I could just quickly glance at that. I don't have to go to my phone or anything like that. Oh, that's where we are today. And it's not too big that it takes up loads of space. It's clearly printed. It's on nice paper. Have I said enough about how marvellous it is? Mary likes the Astro Moon Diary. Now, so we're now going to look at the 2 people that started it. So they mentioned 2004. So I've got from Company's House, because I'm dreadful for Googling, get me. And I've got their natal charts. Now, these aren't going to be obviously exactly correct. And I've got one for Ceri and one for Tina. And if Ceri and Tina, you're listening, can I have your actual birth data, and then I can correct this? But anyway, we're doing some estimates. So we know what year they're born, we know what month it is. And it's amazing what you can tell from someone's, even just their month of birth. There's a lot. And the biggest thing that you can tell from just finding somebody's month and year of birth is what generation are they? What sign are their outer planets in? Because, as you know, I love the outer planets. Not to say that I don't like the sun and the moon and Venus. I do. But I absolutely also love the outer planets because they are of a deeper generational influence. Like all your mates at school will have their outer planets in the same signs. Now, whether or not you do or don't get along with them is dependent on your personal planets. So say, for instance, you were born when Pluto and Uranus were conjunct, which is the early 60s, and you're a Virgo, which I think is the era that our Prime Minister at the moment, Keir Starmer, is. You're going to have those outer planets near to your sun sign. So you are going to be, just saying this is you we're talking about now, you've got your sun really near to those outer planets. You're going to have more of an understanding of what your generation is all about, as opposed to somebody who was born in a sign a few signs away. You're not going to have a sort of an insight into the energies of those outer planets. So we're going to start with Tina. So she's one of the founders. I don't know who wrote that piece because it says Tina and Ceri. Ceri is Ceri, and it's short for Ceridwen. So she's got a really nice, what's the word? She's got a really nice sort of pagan name. So whether or not she was christened that, I have no idea. But anyway, Tina. I've just estimated a date, 15th of December 1965. Now she's definitely born in December 65, so her sun can either only be in Sagittarius or Capricorn. Okay, so if we go even up to the 31st of December, the sun is going to be in an early degree to Capricorn because it's not going to change sign. So the sun doesn't change sign this year, for instance, from Saggy into Capricorn until the sun changes on the 22nd. Okay, so this year, 2024, the 1st of December, the sun is 9 degrees Saggy, and on the 31st of December, the sun is 9 degrees Capricorn. That's just how it happens this year. It might not be next year. Let me just double check. Next year, 2025, so I'm not talking loads of garbage. Yeah, so the year starts. The sun is 9 degrees Saggy and it ends 9 degrees Capricorn, but that's just the way that things go. So I've estimated her as being halfway through the month, and I've done 15th of December, and sort of wondering whether or not that sun sign is correct. I've got no way of knowing. What I do know is, because we'll talk about Ceri in a minute, Tina could be either Sagittarius or Capricorn. I mean, Teri's an earth sign, so I don't know, but Tina's also involved at Glastonbury Festival, and I think she's the one that did the degree. Is that right? Let me just go back to the beginning. Yeah, she's the one that did the degree and did it in digital media and art and stuff. So possibly she could be a Saggy. More likely to be a Saggy if she's involved in a festival and art and stuff, because that involves moving about. To do Glastonbury, you've got to be sort of like have a traveller type of mentality. Anyway, that's just a guess. So I've got the sun there is in Saggy, I've got the moon is in Virgo. The moon probably absolutely isn't. But we have got a Pluto-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Virgo. Now I'm using whole signs so that you can see what signs of the zodiac things are in. She's got Neptune in Scorpio, 20 degrees. Mercury is 3 degrees into Saggy. It won't have shifted into Capricorn. So I think, let me just double check this year. How does that happen? Mercury will retrograde this year, just so happens. But yeah, so for the whole of December, Mercury in the year that she was born, possibly, you have to double check, would be in Saggy. Okay, so that's how she communicates in a Saggy way. Mars is in Capricorn, and again, that's not going to change sign too much. That's 23 degrees. Venus, I don't even think, because of the speed that it, gotta keep checking the ephemeris. Mars, how fast can that move through a sign? Can take 3 to 4 weeks. I think that Mars could be in Aquarius. Venus is definitely in Aquarius, and then outer planets, we can absolutely guarantee those. We've got Saturn in the sign of Pisces. So Ceri at the moment will be having her Saturn return, and it was interesting when I was on their website just now. They've got a free Saturn calculator, so you can calculate and put your date of birth in, and this is all free, by the way, and it'll let you know when your Saturn returns are, when your Saturn squares are, when your Saturn this, that and the others are. And I thought, well, a quick look at that was quite interesting. And I think you can order a report. So there are reports that you can order. Now, Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini, and it's retrograde 26 degrees. So as the month progresses, it would be retrograding even further. Again, I haven't got the ephemeris for that year, otherwise we'll be here for the whole episode all day. But Jupiter, I don't know when it stopped retrograding, but for the 15th, which is the half of the month, halfway down the month I've chosen, Jupiter is retrograding in Gemini. Now, so Jupiter is definitely square to those outer planets. So Jupiter is what we believe in, and Uranus and Pluto are freedom / deep change and transformation. So if she's a Saggy, that's her ruling planet. If she isn't, there is some tension between her Jupiter and her Uranus and her Pluto, which would imply her luck. She doesn't feel that her luck is similar to her generation, so she'd have to break away in some ways from her generation, which definitely she would have done by creating this calendar, and that's what the two of them have done ever since then. Set up a team. Now the company wasn't set up till much later. I'll come to that in a minute. So that I can understand, the breaking away, and also the Saturn being in the sign of Pisces is also opposition to her Uranus and her Pluto. So Saturn's about responsibility. What do I feel responsible for? Opposite to my planet of freedom and deep change. So there's going to be some sort of seesawing between what am I responsible for and what is my generation all about, because your outer planets are your generational ones, and it really helps if you're learning astrology to absolutely memorize what your generation is all about, because while you're younger it doesn't really make that much difference, but as you get older it definitely does. My generation, talking about my generation, I was a band did that. Now she has got Neptune in Scorpio, and I know for a fact that the Neptune in Scorpio generation, of which I'm part of because I was born in 1960, are very, very much into the whole psychic phenomena thing. Not to say that other combos of Neptune being in signs isn't, but the Neptune in Scorpio in the 1960s, as they were growing up, the whole, I could say meddling, that's the wrong word, but getting interested into crystals and this and that was quite a rite of passage really for that generation, especially if they also had, which they would have, the Pluto and Uranus in Virgo, except my Uranus is in Leo. Anyway, so that's her chart. Her chart's a seesaw for sure. Depending on where her moon is, then it'll probably be a splash. So that's Ceri, who is a co-founder of Astrocal. So now we've got Ceri, again, don't know the date of birth, so I've only got the month, and I've given her the 12th of May 1970. So there's 5 years difference between them, so the outer planets are different. The only one that's the same is Neptune, which is still into the sign of Scorpio. It hasn't changed sign, so they've got that connection. Now obviously degrees wise it's not that connected because Ceri's Neptune is 29 degrees into Scorpio and Tina's is only 20, so it's out of orb, and in Ceri's case it's retrograding, so who knows. Her Pluto's still in Virgo, but her Uranus has now moved, because she's 5 years younger, has moved into the sign of Libra, and both of those are retrograde. She's got quite a lot of retrograde, so I've chosen 12th of May. We've got possibly Mercury retrograde, might have done that for the whole month, because it always retrogrades for about 3 weeks. Well, not about 3 weeks, it's always 3 weeks. We've got Mercury retrograde, we've got Jupiter retrograde, we've got Uranus retrograde, Neptune and Pluto, they're all retrograde. Go back to the retrograde episodes. And we've got quite a much of a bowlish type of chart. And if we take Mercury out of the equation for a minute, we have got Sun conjunct Saturn, and in the sign of Taurus, takes themselves very seriously, takes things seriously. And you've got that whole Taurus energy of being grounded, being earthed, doing the thing. Now, because the calendar itself has loads of art in, and I know it's Tina that did the design element of it, Ceri will also have some sort of artistic ability or interest. None of the illustrations are by her, I don't think, But Taurus does like beauty. It's ruled by Venus. And also, if you want a business partner that's going to be stable and not lose the plot, then Taurus is the sign to go. Now, let's just assume that Tina is a Saggy, flighty, let's go there, jump on an aeroplane, blah, blah, blah. And then Ceri is the Taurus. She's going to be the grounded one that possibly can hold the whole thing together and do the practical side of things, like make sure that the printing's okay. I mean, I don't know how they even divide their work out. Ceri's got Venus and Mars pretty much conjunct in Gemini. It just happened I chose the 12th of May and the moon's in Leo. No idea if that's correct. And that's all the planets I've mentioned, yes. So I haven't done a synergy chart. I could have done, but as I say, we're just doing a little quick exploration. So that's their natals. Now, we know for a fact that they started doing their calendar in 2004. So I've got starts. So they've got starts their calendar. And I've got how did that impact for Tina. Then we have the exact, and I haven't got an exact date. I've only got the year they started it. So I just used 1st of June because that's halfway through the year. So what was going on in 2004? Well, Jupiter was in the sign of Virgo for the whole of that year, because Jupiter spends a whole year in each sign of the zodiac. And Tina's got Pluto and Uranus in the sign of Virgo, and Jupiter comes along, which is a lucky, happy, fluffy planet. And Ceri has her Pluto also in Virgo, so Jupiter would have done something to her and that. The other outer planets is Neptune, which is now transiting through the sign of Aquarius. Tina's got Venus in Aquarius. Ceri has nothing in Aquarius. And Pluto in Tina's chart is now conjunct to her sun sign, assuming she's born on the 15th of December. Pluto would probably take a little while longer if her date of birth is towards the end of the month, but Pluto's transiting through the sign of Saggy when they have this great idea to start their calendar. Okay, does that make sense? Right. Now we have the date the company, because it took them quite a while, so they didn't start the company until 2019, which is just bang before the pandemic, where everything went online. So we have an exact date that the company was started, which was the 29th of July 2019. So again, I'm just looking predominantly at outer planets. Saturn and Pluto are in Capricorn, where they're well happy there. So Saturn's happy in Capricorn. Tina has Venus in Capricorn. Ceri has nothing in Capricorn. So it wouldn't have impacted her as much. What is impacting her, so this is Ceri now, and I'll put the charts on the show notes so you can see what I'm waffling about. Uranus is now transiting through the sign of Taurus. Jupiter's in Saggy, and Tina could be a Saggy, so Jupiter's going through her own sign. The Sun is in Leo, Venus in Leo, Mars is in Leo as well. Jupiter's in Saggy, Saturn's in Cappy, Uranus is Taurus, Neptune's Pisces, Pluto's Cappy. So that's the date that the company was formed. And on the date the company was formed, the moon is in Gemini. And somebody had some Gemini planets. Who had the Gemini? Oh, yeah, that's right. Ceri has got Venus and Mars. So it's interesting when you just look at those charts and you consider it from each different person, how it impacts them. There's different, and obviously we don't know what their sun signs and their exact moon signs are, but their outer planets, that the way it was impacting them with like totally outer planets, I'd say, was Neptune being in Pisces affects Tina's Saturn, which is opposition to her Pluto-Uranus. So it's like a dreamy type of thing. Neptune, unfortunately, is retrograde. Whilst in Ceri's case, Uranus is the major planet that is going to be eventually going past her sun sign. Will still be doing that because she's at 21 degrees or thereabouts, Taurus, unless she's born much later in the year, in the month, beg your pardon, and then she'll be a Gemini. So I going back to the calendar itself, I love having it every year. I love having it by my side. I like everything about it. Please go over there and at least look at the website, and I'll put the link. And if you want to buy it, do you know, it's not a vast amount of money. Let me just tell you how much it is. So in the UK shop, the calendar for next year is $18.99. That lasts the whole year. So in the US shop, the calendar is $24.99 in dollars. And you can either purchase it on Amazon or on Etsy, because they've got an Etsy page as well. So over the years that they have been operating, their website and the way they've tackled things, etc., has altered a bit. And with the way that the internet is now, you know, back in the day you would have had to print these things and lug them round to your local bookshops or wherever and hope people bought them. The wonderful thing, and I've never knocked the internet, the wonderful thing about the internet is that you can be discovered, inverted commas, by anybody anywhere in the world. And I absolutely love the fact with this podcast, with me talking to you, you are in almost every country in the world. You're definitely in every continent, and I absolutely love that. It's the thing that makes me continue to do this podcast, because it's such a thrill to know that there are people not just around the corner from me, because who wants to talk to people around the corner from me, but people from other places, other cultures, other countries, and that astrology is a universal language that we can all learn, that can help us make sense of our lives and of those people that are nearest and dearest to us. So today I've been talking about Astrocal, a lovely moon calendar diary thing. It's not just the moon in there, all the other outer planets, etc. You can see the astronomy of things, and it'll tell you things like, you know, when there's going to be I don't know what you call it now, and there's the cycles of these things that fall out of the sky. Hold on, let me find the right terminology. Meteor showers. It always tells you when your next meteor shower is going to be, and there's a little, for every month there's a bit about the night sky as well, because my astronomy is not that good and I'm not marvellous at looking at the night sky to be able to find stuff, but the information that's in there makes it easy enough to do that. So I hope you have a fab week, and I'll be back next week. So just to finish, I am writing an article for the Astrological Journal. I am writing it about the mummies and daddies that are astrologers. So if you're a mummy or a daddy and you are an astrologer, so this is about people that are practicing astrologers, making a living from it. And not to say that hobby astrologists or learner astrologers are, I'm not talking about better or worse or anything, but if you are a professional astrologer and you are a mummy or a daddy, then do get in contact, because I'd like to hear about your experience of that and about your own children and your attitude towards their charts and whether or not you've ever done them, that type of thing. This is what I'm asking. So that's what the article is going to be about, and that I think goes into next year's journal, the Astrological Journal, but I've got to have it in by the mid-November, so I better start writing the bloody thing. I'm researching them. Anyway, enough waffle. I hope you have a fab week, and I'll be back next week. Bye-bye now.